everyone, it's Claire from Shergroup again, and I'm on the sofa today with my lovely friend Wendi Mclean, who I met through BNI in Norfolk 2 or 3 years ago now, and so she's back again today talking to us about her expertise, and that's all going to unravel as we go through our interview today. But hello to everyone out there who knows Shergroup and knows me. And big hello to our #1 fan, Ross Saunders, today. Hey, Rossi, how are you?
Hi, Ross. Hi, Ross.
So another guest waving hello to you, Ross. You've got a fan club going all of your own now. So that's great. That's great. Thank you for that. We just wanted to invite Wendi to come back because she's got so many interesting things to offer business owners. Apart from anything else, you're a very calming influence. Do you know that?
Oh, bless you.
And you are such a positive lady. I mean, it's an absolute pleasure to talk to you because you're always so positive. You were positive all the way through the pandemic, and look at you now, you're just beaming. So it's so good to see you. So I wanted to just crack on and ask you about your business. And I've been one of your what do you call us, clients, I guess, as a coach.
Clients.
You've taken me into some new places with thinking about things. What inspired you to become a coach?
Well, there's two elements to this, actually. It goes way back to 2004. I can almost remember the day, and I was sitting on the sofa at home, and I was a little bit of a shopping channel junkie, and there were many times that I had a glass of wine or two, and a sports equipment would turn up and all sorts. I couldn't remember ordering, but I was literally on this day watching this big brush American guy telling me how he can change my life in 7 days for about 125 pounds, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I kept flicking away, but I was drawn back to him. So after about half an hour, I thought, do you know what, if you believe you can do that, here's my money. So I gave him my money, and the CDs arrived that showed how old it was. And whilst it wasn't quite 7 days, he did change my life in a massive way. And I went on to see him live. And this is, in case you hadn't already guessed, this is Tony Robbins. Oh. And I went to his live events. And it was him that really inspired me, showed me that we were so much more than we believed we could be. So, and I just wanted to be the best mum I could. At that time, I had no idea about becoming a coach as a career. It was just, I thought, if I could give these skills to my children who were quite young at the time, then that would make me a great mum. And that's what I did. So I went off to college whilst working full time, raising 2 small kids, and studied for 2 years to become a coach. And that was where it all really started. And quite frankly, it's just been a journey ever since. The more I do it, the more I love it, the more I learn, the more I don't know. It's just one of those subjects that is just fascinating.
Yes, and knowing you as I do a little bit better now, a lot of what you've done in your life has been driven by looking after your children.
Yes.
And being the best mum you can for them, which I think is what many of us do in our own different ways. We're all, and I know that's very true for you. Now, you've got 2 children. Is one of them a coach now?
Yeah. So my youngest, my son, I've coached my children right throughout, which is unusual, but they trusted me, and I'm grateful for that. My son went off and did his NLP coaching. Yeah. Although he's not a coach in a career-wise, he actually decided he wanted those skills too to help him in his life in general.
Right. Well, I'm glad that you've been able to get some real skills into. The best skills I've been able to get to my kids is in how to watch Netflix. I really admire that. That's
a pleasure.
You get a big gold star for that. But I'm not surprised you're a big influence on so many people, and I know you've got your own channels now, and you're building up your social media presence, which is again just a hugely positive thing. I look for that on my feed every day. What's Wendi said? What's Wendi's thought for the day? And I mean, so you've kind of become, you grew into a mindset coach and getting people to feel positive about themselves, which I think is huge, and a motivational coach. So what are you specifically working on with people?
Right. So I have come up with this analogy because I think it just describes it lovely, and I just love energy, and I go, and it's all about BAM, you know, like it's really quite forceful, and it's what it stands for is beliefs, behaviors, attitude, and motivation. And because they are the 4 key things that I work on, and they're just so important and they're so integral. And I think probably the best way to describe it and put it in perspective is if you imagine your beliefs as a car. Okay, so this is the steering wheel, the body work, the full structure is what you live your life by. That's a solid piece. That's how we live our life. We live our life on our beliefs. And then you have the behavior of the car, how the car turns, how it attaches to the road, how it brakes. And we're the same as humans. You know, how do we behave with our beliefs? You know, how well do we adapt? Yeah. And then, of course, you've got attitude. And you think about the car having attitude. It's like, is it sporty? Is it a bit of a chug? Is it just graceful? And, you know, we are all, as humans, we're all so different. And it's all about how our attitude affects everything else. Now, so we've got a great car here. We've got, let's say we've got the top of the range Porsche. It's got amazing beliefs. It's got all those wonderful things. Yeah. The thing is, it can't move without motivation. Motivation is the fuel. So it doesn't matter how great you are, how your skills are, or your beliefs. If you don't have the motivation to actually take what you have forward, then you're not going to go anywhere. And it's just like the car. If you don't put fuel in the car, or you put the wrong fuel in the car, it's not going to work. Yeah. So it's the 4 things together for me is just brings everything really lovely together.
Okay, I got the acronym. So it's beliefs, behaviors, attitude and motivation.
Yeah.
Okay. My mother had a phrase for that. It's a bit old-fashioned, but it was positive mental attitude, PMA.
Yes. Yes.
But I think yours is the more modern approach. I don't think she wanted to talk about. It's a generational thing. People didn't want to talk about their beliefs or their motivation, did they? Their motivation was generally just getting up and putting food on the table and providing. But we have that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think people really appreciated it as much then. I think there's so much research into it now. And although this research has been way back to the 1930s, and you've got the early sort of Earl Nightingales that came along, the Bob Proctors, and they were trailblazers in this stuff. But you're right, for the most, it wasn't really in the main public eye.
No, but obviously people like yourself, as you become expert in it, you're making us aware of these different attributes that we can adopt into our lives, which is important as lives become more complex, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, life is just is different ball game to what it was 50 years ago. So, I mean, obviously you communicate with all sorts of people. I know a little bit about your practice. I mean, just from our BNI group, the type of people that, talked about you. And I mean, and you're brilliant at building rapport really quickly. I mean, you're a very easy person to get to know. Not everybody has that skill, I'm sure you know that. I don't need to tell you that. But as somebody that looks for that in people, it's such a nice attribute to have. Now, how did you get that? Is that something is that just innate in you, or is it something you've had to work on?
You work on it to start with, because it's learning. Everybody has what we call a different representational system. So we view the world in slightly different ways. So as a coach, you're trained to yes, absolutely. So as a coach, you're trained to look for the language in which people use. Now, they started using this in sales and things like that quite a few years ago now. But there's kind of 4 key representational systems, and that's, you've got visual, audio, kinesthetic, and audio digital. Now, those four they have their own kind of language. So if you've got someone who's visual, for example, they'll say, I see what you mean. I'm not sure I don't like the look of that. You know, so all the language they're using, things like focus, they could be envisioned. You know, they are people that will talk to you through visual representation.
Yeah. And
when you recognize that in someone, you recognize the words they're using, then you can use those words back. Same with like if they're auditory, you know, like they hear, no, I hear what you're saying, or that rings a bell. You know, these people will pay a lot of attention to the sounds. Now, have you ever heard someone say, let me just take my glasses off and let me listen to what you're saying, I'll hear better? And they are just people that are very, exactly. But they're auditory, yeah, so they don't want to be distracted by the visual. They want to just purely
see, right, okay.
Yeah, right. So it's more of a distraction. And then you have people that are kinesthetic, which is very much me. You know, I like a feely, touchy person, and I kind of, you know, things like I refer to people like, you know, honey, and I very rarely would sign my emails off with kind regards. It would be like, wish you have a great day. And then you have the audio digital people who like facts. You know, they're just straight to the point, no fuss, no nonsense. So if I was to receive an email, for example, from somebody who was what we call audio digital, and they said to me, hi, Wendy, can you arrange, we need to meet up next week at 10 o'clock, can you be in my office? For an audio digital person, that is quite normal. There's no fluff, exactly what they want to say and done. When I receive that, I'm going to think, well, what have I done wrong? Why are they not being nice to me? Yeah, so it's learning. When you learn to communicate on someone else's wavelength, you get so much more out of them, but also you build rapport very, very quickly.
Yes, well, you definitely demonstrate that, and I'm listening to you very carefully about all of those traits, and I'm thinking, well, I do visual, but then I've started listening to podcasts now, so I'm kind of opening up my ears, and I do like to be just given the facts and time of a meeting. Yeah,
you are all doing.
So we're a bit of a mixture, but I guess there are different strengths that manifest themselves more regularly.
There's no wrong or right. There's absolutely no wrong or right.
No.
It's but actually on my website, I do have what we call rep test, which is free. So anybody can go on there and do the test, and they can tell and it shows them what they are. But underneath, I've made it really easy so they can look at all the representational systems, and they can take that away and listen to it with other people.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've got companies now going on there, getting all their staff to do it. So just so that they can see what they are. And it just makes communication a lot easier.
Oh, well, send me the link to that. Because
I will
put
do
that in the show notes. And I'll get my team to do that as well.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Because they have to spend a lot of time listening to me. So they obviously have got their audio skills, but maybe they want me to engage them in a different way. I don't know.
It's good to do. It's good to do.
Yeah. Now, you've been coaching for, you tell me, 20 years, which is 2 decades, which is a good run at anything. You've got a bag of experience under your belt. And you've obviously met all different types of people in different situations. I mean, what's the most important thing you've learned, do you think, from your journey so far?
Well, that's a great question. For me, it's what never ceases to amaze me is that how much control we have over our thoughts and our feelings. And I really love when I introduce that concept and get my clients to see it for themselves, because we all have the power within us to create the life we want. And when you open up the mind to accept that, everything changes. And it's like when it's something, let's say, for example, someone says something to you that's not very nice. it goes straight into your conscious mind. And at that moment in time, you have a choice whether to accept it or not. You can believe what they're saying or not believe what they're saying. As soon as you decide to believe what they're saying, it goes into the unconscious, and that's where your feelings are created. It's obviously a very quick process. It's not something you literally think about, but that's how it happens. But when you train the clients to actually say, hold on a minute, I don't want to accept that. I'm not prepared for you to say that to me, or I'm not prepared to accept that that's what you might feel that way about me, but I'm not prepared to accept that. But that's how I feel about myself. So giving people back the power, and this is what I love, and I get, that's what I get really excited about, because when you open that up for people, and everything changes. They are just, yeah, for me, that's what's the most important thing I've learned, and that's the one thing I love sharing.
I think that's very true for you. I mean, one of the things I learned from you, which was, and I still use it to this day, was we looked at my journey, didn't we? And I think I was a bit stuck in the past, and you got me to sort of think about my timeline as a human, and to start and think about the future. And I think a lot of people are still looking back when in fact they need to be looking forward. And that's one of the things that I learned from you, and really sort of packing up those old beliefs and putting them away.
Yeah, absolutely. I use a concept with my clients, and I call it the negative wall and the positive wall. And I don't call it the negative wall, I call it a different name, but I'm not going to say that on here. And I do that for deliberately reasons, so that people remember it. So when they say something to themselves, I always say to them, what wall are you facing? You're facing the wall where you don't want something. So you're saying that actually, oh, you know what, I want to be happier. Well, if you want to be happier, what are you focusing on? You're focusing on the fact you're not happy, right? So you got to reframe that and say, actually, do you know what? I am moving into a direction where I'm going to love my life. And then that's right. So you're right. It is about focusing on the forward and advanced than it is at the back.
Yeah, I still use that whole little trick you gave me to do that. And these are the sorts of things that Wendi does, you see, when you go to see her and you're talking to her. She's getting you to unpack the things that you thought you were kind of having to pull around with you for the rest of your journey, and pack them up and put them away, which is good. Very good. But I mean, obviously you do talk to people about some sensitive things, and I mean, what's the most challenging part for you of being a coach? What you know, how does it get to you, or how do you find the challenge?
Yeah, for me, it's, if I'm honest, for me, sometimes it's about being neutral. Sometimes I really want to sort of reach out to the client and say, look, you know, we can do this, this, and this. But the client has to go on the journey themselves. They have to come out and understand what it is that they are thinking and why they are thinking that. So when I ask a client a question, you have to give them time and space for them to come up with the answer themselves, rather than pushing them. Because, you know, we all do different things at different paces. And you know, some people will come out with a quick answer, which is fantastic. Others need to go in, really, really dig deep to find out what it is that they are worried about, or why they feel the way they do. We use a lot of what we call quantum linguistics, which are questions that seem really strange to the conscious mind. So, and it's what the whole point of that is that you use that question to confuse the conscious mind, so it gives up, and then the unconscious mind has to kick in, and that's where all the answers are. So if I was to say to you, you know, what would happen if you didn't do it? People are like, what do you mean, what wouldn't happen if I didn't do it? And I have to really think about that question. And then all of a sudden they're like, you can see them quit almost. And then, oh yeah. And then the unconscious mind kicks in and gives you the answer, which is amazing.
I think the thing as well, coming to see you, that you don't have to answer these questions. You don't have to be a clever clogs, do you? You know, like you said, there's no right or wrong answer. It's, you can take a deep breath and think about how to answer you before you have to. It's not like a spontaneous thing. You just got to give the first thing that comes. Yeah, I think that's because you do get people to dig into things that they perhaps haven't thought about before.
Yeah, you just challenge them. Yeah, if you're challenging someone and it just kind of takes them to a different level, and often they've not been challenged before.
No.
And it can be uncomfortable, but when we get uncomfortable, we grow.
Yeah, of course. And you're in a safe environment with you. So it's not
Absolutely,
like, that I think that's important. So if you're sitting there thinking that you've got negative beliefs and things are holding you back, then people like Wendi help you put those things to one side, really, and move on, don't they?
Yeah.
Which I think is really important, because life is complex.
It is very complex and more unique.
Yeah. So anyway, you've got all this experience, and you've helped a lot of people. I think it's great you've helped your own kids as well. I think that's tremendous. But I know now that you're moving into this new area of motivational mapping, which I think is fascinating. So just explain a little bit about that. I mean, what is it?
So motivational maps, for me, is a game changer. It's a diagnostic ISO accredited tool. And unlike personality assessments, it measures your level of motivation. So it measures what motivates you and the level on which you're at. And it is 99% accurate, and it's scientifically based. It's not sort of just one of these crazy things that have been created. Because people say, well, is it like a personality assessment? No, it's not, because with our personality assessments, our personalities don't really change that much unless you've had something trauma or something like that. Realistically, your personality doesn't change very much over your lifespan. Well, your motivation changes all the time. You could be really happy working for an organization, and a new director comes in or a new manager comes in, and they might micromanage you. And if you're a free spirit, someone who likes to get on and do their own thing, your motivation is going to start to wane. So motivational maps measures what exactly is that motivates you and how well that is being met. Now, as an individual, you can use that for if you're going for career development and so on. But for a team, it's phenomenal. It's a really simple tool as well. It literally is a questionnaire that you complete. It takes about 12 to 15 minutes, but once it's completed, you get a personalized report, and which is about 15 pages long, and it details your complete motivational profile and also provides practical and targeted ways for you to improve your motivation. And it's the only tool on the market that measures motivation.
And it's ISO accredited.
It's ISO accredited, and it's phenomenal. I mean, a lot of organizations are starting to use it, especially in the market we're at the moment in terms of retention of staff, because the cost of losing staff members, we know, is just skyrocketing at the moment, because there's just not enough people to replace them. No. And then you've got the downtime, you've got the time to train them, the cost to hire them in the first place, and obviously the higher up the scale, the more it's going to cost you. So if you can keep your team motivated, then you're unlikely to lose them, because it's not all about money. For a lot of them, money's key for some, but it's not always about money.
No.
People don't realise that.
That's a very blunt view of the world, isn't it? If you think that people are, and I think hasn't the pandemic shown that actually, quality of life, hanging out with your family, having time for yourself,
absolutely,
and not having the commute and the chugging to work, it's changed the dynamic.
Well, they've just put a report out. I think it came out a couple of days ago, actually, and because obviously, they talked about a lot about the millennials, and the millennials, and how they and how they sort of want this kind of work-life balance and so on. But now you've got this Generation Z coming through, and they're very similar to the millennials, but they're prepared to take action. So they're prepared to turn jobs down. They're prepared to walk away from jobs because they're not getting the balance they want. So, you've got to have, the employers now have got to have some kind of tool to give them some insight on how to get the best out of these people.
I know when I moved all of our team to remote working, because that's how I liked to work. And I remember I had competitors laughing at me because we basically ditched our corporate offices and went to remote working. And of course, often people think that the success of a business is based on how many offices you've got, or how many desks you've got, or, you know, where your address is, you know. So we had a city address, but we paid peanuts for it. And honestly, the welfare of the team and the way that they all gel together across the world, because they all work from home and want to work from home, has been tremendous. It's our biggest asset as a company.
And that really was trailblazing for you, because, you know, for you to do that, it really kind of, and the thing is as well, I think you'll agree with this, that when you do have a team working from home, it's about the dynamics as well. So in terms of having those meetings, those coffee mornings, or whatever it is, just to, you know, that's having that structure, not just sticking them out there. It's like what you've done, you've really incorporated them into a unit, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I'm very lucky. The people that I have, I see the comments and, you know, in social media about this dilemma for employers about whether they should have a remote team and how is it going to work. You just got to pick the right people, and you might have to go through a few tries, which of course your motivational mapping will help people identify whether you have got the right team, or whether you've got outliers who are just, they're not bad people, they're just not going to fit the kind of environment you're trying to create.
Absolutely.
And, you know,
absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, that's really, really important. So, I mean, in the situations you were just saying before we started recording, that you're getting into the corporate world, and corporates are starting to look at this motivational mapping. I mean, what sort of situations are they bringing you in? Because I think this is exciting for your business.
Yeah, so I use the maps in two ways. First of all, with individuals. So if I'm using a breakthrough coaching specifically, and the great thing about them, you do the map before you start and at the end, so you can actually measure the change. But where it comes into its own is in organizations, and you've got a team. So if you map your whole team, you can see where, you know, let's say, for example, you've got a sales team and you've got a lot of builders in that team, but then you've got a great mix, because these guys are driven by money. But if you've got a builder and what we call a searcher, someone who wants to do something with meaning, if you've got a builder and a searcher working together, you've got one that says, no, let's do this because we're going to earn the money. And the searcher's going, well, hold on a minute, you know, what's the outcome? What's the purpose? What are we doing this for? So, you know, and that map will tell you very clearly if there are areas of conflict. But it doesn't mean it's negative. It just means that you're aware, and therefore you can now, you know, we give you strategies to deal with that, so that you can quite easily adapt and change what's needed to be changed. Of course, to motivate a builder, money, opportunities for progression, and so on. But for somebody who's interested in meaning, you give them tasks and projects which will have a positive outcome. And it's amazing. So for teams, it's a game changer. And I actually did it recently on a couple of families. So this was really, I don't know anybody's done this before, but I was doing a breakthrough with one of my clients, and I know that they were having issues at home with their teenage children, and they were getting frustrated and not sure how to deal with them. So we decided to do a map on the whole family, and what it showed up was what were driving the teenagers, what it was that they needed to motivate them. And it was amazing, because once the parents understood, they were able to work it as a unit, and the whole family became really balanced.
And what was driving the Can I ask what was driving the teenagers?
Yeah, because one of them was all about freedom. She wanted the freedom to do stuff that was right for her. But it didn't mean she could stay out late or things like that. It was very much about sort of making decisions. So they agreed that she could make certain decisions. You manage it in a different way. And one of them, again, she wanted meaning to what she, what was important to her was having meaning in what she did. So rather than just give just go and clean the bathroom or whatever it was given a real meaning behind the task. And once they changed all that and the way they explained it to them, the whole dynamic changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a couple of families now with a similar outcome, so it's been pretty good. And obviously, yeah, the succession planning, schools, colleges are using them now in the school classroom.
Well, if you're someone watching this, and you're a family lawyer or a mediator in a family situation, then that might be a fantastic tool for you. And then all the other areas that you get into.
Yeah, I mean, Motivational Maps is really growing in the UK, but we are really trying to get it into the States because, it's very new as far as the Americans concerned. There's not many people out there that do it. So if there's anybody out there, L&D professionals, coaches, HR people, get in touch with me, because we're always looking to train and obviously to give you the tools to do this as well.
One of the big areas, I think, is sales. And understanding what makes the sales team tick, and of course that's big here. I mean, it's big in the States.
Right, okay.
Understanding the motivation of salespeople and getting that right harmony. It's something that everyone's looking for. I know that I did the motivational mapping. I think I came out as a searcher, didn't I? I was constantly searching.
You were one of the very rare ones, Claire, who was 100% motivated. Yeah, seriously, when I did look at your map, I was like, oh my gosh. And literally everything, and the thing is, you're a searcher, but you have great meaning, and everything you do, you help people. You run that organization, but you're always there to help others and do things like this, to promote us as well. So you live your life the way you are meant to live your life, and it shows in your map.
Oh, thank you. I remember there was a couple of dark areas as well. I wasn't completely perfect. But I think everybody has that light and dark, right? Yeah. And what these tools do is it just, and where it perhaps is something that you need to work on, who's going to tell you that? My team aren't going to tell me that. No one's going to tell me that I've got dark areas. But an objective tool like a motivational map might just flesh that out, and it might be, just take a moment, think about that.
Because although we haven't covered it, but one of the key things is always looking at your lowest motivator, because if it's particularly low, it could be a trigger for you. If you're with someone where your lowest motivator is their highest, it could be a trigger. So it's great. I mean, I'm not going to go into it. There's so much to talk about, but but anyways, if anyone wants to get in touch, we'll go from there.
Yeah, no, please get in touch with Wendi if you want to use. It's a simple thing to do. It's a bit like, for those of you of a certain age, the Jackie magazine quiz, and then some. And you've got to answer the question, and you've got to be truthful, and don't kid yourself either. Just be honest with the answers, and she'll then analyze it, and you'll be surprised how accurate it is, especially with me keep searching for things. But really. So I mean, you can work with clients. I mean, you do work with clients online and face to face, right? I mean, you don't have any issues with how you engage with people.
I mean, face to face. I'm actually, even with the motivational maps, we do team training on Zoom. Whether it's face to face on Zoom, it makes no difference. It gives you the same outcome.
What I love about you is you are exactly the same online as you are in person. And so I know people have this whole thing about, can we do it online? But I think what is happening is that as we kind of move to more online environments, we're finding people like you that can operate quite seamlessly between the two. And it's only your belief that you can't do somebody online that is holding you back. Because Wendi you can hypnotize online, right?
Yeah, that was really cool, actually. Just a really quick story. Just literally prior to lockdown, I've not worked online. I'll be honest, I've never had the need to. And literally, as we'd gone online, all my clients went online from day one, so it's fantastic. And I got my first hypnotherapy session, and I'm like, oh my gosh, really worried. And I don't know why I'm worried, because this woman was so far out of it. I had to bring her around 3 times. She was just so deep in trance, which is fantastic. And it was great, because it really sort of like grounded me and made me realize, actually, do you know what? There's absolutely no difference. And yeah, so I've not, since then, that's it. Whatever I do, it's just as good online as it is face to face.
Yeah. No, as I say, you make it seem very seamless. So I got this question here. Now, you know that I love Disney and Marvel and all that. I've got a whole bookshelf. I've got Groot on the wall there because I think he's cool. So what would you say is your biggest superpower, Wendi?
Oh, I would say it's my intuition. My gut instinct is pretty good, and it's because I trust it. I think many people have a gut instinct, but they don't trust it, and therefore they go with what they think they should be doing rather than what they feel is right. So I think for me, if my gut instinct tells me something, I should do something, that would be where my research goes, rather than try and second guess it. And to be fair, it works really well for me. So my superpower is my gut instinct, definitely.
And you know what, as human beings, probably there's millions of us who should be trusting our gut instinct a lot more than we do, and for some reason we can't fight it.
Absolutely. I mean, our gut, they are calling the gut the second brain.
Yeah,
because we have another nervous system here, and the gut communicates with the brain. So in theory, it is the second brain. So we should trust it more than we do. But if you learn to trust it, then you actually go a lot further, I think, in my personal opinion.
No, I think you're right. And on the times that I haven't trusted it, I've got my significant other who his gut is completely engaged. And so if my gut feel is off, and something doesn't go quite right, I've got someone looking at me going, I could have told you that. So between him and my sister, I have 2 very good sounding boards when my gut is off. But I should take a leaf out of your book and trust it more often, because it is something that comes inbuilt. And as I say, we're all, I don't know why, but you're a good example. Absolutely. Now, I think you're a superstar, but I mean, there are lots of coaches out there, and I've got you, and I've got our lovely friend Angie Doy as well as a coach, who's a fantastic person. What makes you? I mean, you won't want to say this really, but I think you stand out because you are so feet on the ground and so easy to talk to. I mean, do you see that in yourself? I mean, what do you think makes you stand out from all the other coaches out there?
I could say it's my magnetic personality, couldn't I?
Well,
but it's just I just have a lot of experience. One of my motivators is I'm a high expert, which means I'm constantly learning, constantly filling up my toolbox with information and tools to help my clients. So for me, I don't just deal with NLP or hypnotherapy. I do motivational maps, statement analysis. I do eye movement therapy. So whenever my clients come to me, regardless of what they're coming to me with, I've always got something that enables them to make the breakthrough that they're looking for. And I'm always open to learning if I have to go away and learn something new. But for me, it's just, I've got a lot of tools in my toolbox. I'm down to earth, and I'm just really passionate about what I do.
Yeah, I know you are. You are very determined to make people feel better about themselves. When there's an awful lot of people out there that just want to pull you down, and that's what's so different about you, that you want to lift people up and help them get over these limiting beliefs. So yeah, Wendi is a real find for me, and for all of our community, because you know, although she's out there on social media and her website is out there, and we'll put that all in the show notes for you. What Shergroup on the Sofa does is it kind of brings these people to the forefront of our community, and hopefully you can see how Wendi is in person. This is how she really is. And then perhaps you can see how and contact her and see how she would work with you and your organisation, or just you on your own, because she works with individuals as well as with companies. So how would you like people to get into contact with you, Wendi? What's the best way?
Well, they can go to my website, which is literally just my name. So that's www.wendymclean.co.uk. That's Wendi with an I. On LinkedIn, they can reach out to me, or on my email address, which I can share with you after to
Yeah, and do like and follow her on Facebook, because every day she's putting out an inspirational quote, which sometimes if I get a moment, I just bung something in there, because it's actually nice to talk about, I don't know, what makes your Monday. I mean, Monday's my worst day of the week. You always put something about Mondays on there, which I always look for, because I think, oh God, it's Monday again. But it's just nice to just put and she always responds as well. You always respond to people, don't you?
Yeah. I think that's really important. I think, I could, again, if you want to ask me what makes me different, is I do take it personally. And I think that, if somebody takes the time to write something, the least I can do is read it and respond.
Yes, no, I think that's another great part of your overall brand, that you really do care about people and you get to know them. And I would just say that there'll be people watching this who will be in my family and friends circle. There'll be people watching this in our business community in Shergroup. Look, it doesn't matter. You're all humans. We're all humans, and we all have different things going on. And again, I think somebody like Wendi can, if you talk to them, just take the opportunity to talk to her about what you think she might be able to do. She might take you down a completely different path. Who knows? Yeah. But just talk to someone about what it is that is in the back of your mind that perhaps you've not explored before, and see if Wendi can help you, because I think if she can, she most definitely will. So
thank you.
So yeah, I mean, Wendi, I love the motivational mapping. I think it's a great tool, and I'd love to come and visit our BNI chapter over here in the States and talk about it. I've got some corporate members here connected to big organizations, and they would love to hear about this, from a Brit.
Perfect. Loved it. Love
it. They're so welcoming to us, the Americans, and they love to hear what we're doing. All right, everyone. Well, that's a great interview. Thank you, Wendi, for your time today. For everyone else, don't forget that Shergroup has this regular segment with our friends on the sofa, just an informal sort of chat show. We're not actually sitting on sofas. My husband keeps saying that to me. You're not on a sofa, and I keep saying it's not about that.
Yeah, but it's a great name. I love it.
It's a great name, isn't it? Maybe one day I'll get a big purple sofa and we can all sit on that. But we'll all have to be in Florida, which might not work. But
yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Virtually. Don't forget, you can follow Shergroup on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok.
Wow.
TikTok. And I love that. And YouTube. And if you're on Wendi, have you got a YouTube channel?
I have, but I've only just started it. So I just only put one video on so far. So wait until it's a little bit more up and running, and then I'll be happy to share.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, for our videos, we've got more than one. So please subscribe. Wendi, please subscribe. It's been difficult to get people to subscribe to Shergroup YouTube. So we'd love to see more of you on there. Just helps build our following. And actually, we think video is the way to go. I actually think that this is the way that people want to see us delivering information about what we do, by talking to people and showing what we're really like, not hiding behind a library photo or an image. This is us in reality. This is how we operate, and this is the sort of thing that we talk about. So please dig into YouTube with Shergroup and have a look at us in action, and have a look at us talking about what we think is important in business. There's a lot going on. All right. Well, thank you so much, Wendi. Great to see you again. And listen, come back and see us again with motivational mapping, and tell us how you're getting on. We'd love to hear from you.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone.